Hello YouTube, Wolfman of Unlockable Content here, Lewis Wolf. We have reached 1 year of unlockable content. Holy shit. We got over 100 subscribers. We've been uploading for a year now. Ellie and I, this is incredible. So what did we do in this year? There was so much that we had accomplished and hoped to accomplish and happened in our personal lives and on the channel. And I'm sure Ellie's going to have her own version of this, probably. But just from my end, what was going on? Well, you know our origin story that Ellie and I, we were talking at a party, and we decided that we were going to try and, put this channel together. We started with Goat Simulator of all games that we could have played. We did a couple of personal vlogs. Then I got into doing movies, and I said that I was going to do a contest to wrap up the year with the movies, but so many things happened in my personal life, got in the way of trying to organize a contest. But I want to actually I want to do that year in review, and I want to talk about that, and I want to end this with the first movie of 2018. So let's go through this here. This is a year-in movie review, I guess, more than anything. The first movie that I reviewed on this channel was Lego Batman. I actually didn't realize that. I thought I did something or before that. But no, I started with Lego Batman, of all things. I initially gave it an 8 out of 10, and you know what? That still stands. 8 out of 10. I might even push that up to a 9. The movie isn't perfect. It was never meant to be perfect. I don't think it was meant to be just... I think I call it fan fiction with a budget. That's what I call it, and that's still what I believe it is. But it is one of the most fun movies I've gotten to watch in a while. So I still go back to it. I own a copy of it right here. I love it. If you haven't seen it, you should. Next on the list was A Cure for Wellness. I see this movie in the stores and I think about buying it as a laugh. I don't know if I ever will. It was really enjoyable, though. It's, like I said in my original review, you gotta know what you're getting into. People went in, I think, expecting to see a horror movie, and that's not what they were going to get. It's a suspense, thriller, great moments, and I owe this movie a lot of credit because it spawned the Filmosophy section of the channel. I had thought about doing that also, like I just wanting to kind of dive deeper into the movie, but that was the review that kickstarted it, so I owe a lot to that one. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and maybe that drops down to like a 7.5, but it's up there. It was a great movie. I enjoyed it a lot. Logan was the third movie of the year. Somehow I avoided giving that one a rating. I don't know what happened there, but I never gave it a number out of 10. So I got to go back and think about it. And I think I saw Logan like 2 or 3 times throughout the year 2017. So really thinking it over, Logan got a solid 8 out of 10. Very solid. I got emotional in that movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I really was proud of that review of it too. I said that there was something different about it. It separated itself from the average comic book movie. It felt more like a traditional drama more than just a comic book movie. So it was a great film, and if you hadn't seen it, I strongly suggest you see it. Next on the list was Kong, and that was Kong. I love that movie too. It was great. I gave it a 9 out of 10 initially. I think I might drop that down to maybe an 8. Some movies might not hold up quite as well, but still 8, 9, yeah, I believe that firmly. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Let's see here. Next was Beauty and the Beast. I gave that one a 10 out of 10 initially. And again, talk about a review that I had fun with. Doing that musical bit that I did honoring Brows Held High and Kyle Calgren's review of Beauty and the Beast. I don't think it holds up to a 10 out of 10 anymore, but it's still well above an 8. I'll drop down to maybe a 9, 8.5, 9. It was still probably top 3 best movies of the year for me, hands down. It was fantastic. I loved it. So Beauty and the Beast was great, and it was so good. Power Rangers was the next one that year. last year. I gave that a 7.5 out of 10, and I remember I said in the review of that part of the problem was that I had like noisy kids sitting behind me, so that made things a little hard to focus and enjoy on. But I said that you could wait for it, and I still believe that. If you really wanted to go and spend the money on it, I mean, if you're like a huge Power Ranger fan, then by all means go out and get a copy. But I mean, if I were to ever come across this on TV, or if somebody were to give me a copy of it, I'd be very grateful, and I would certainly sit and watch it on TV or as a gift. Maybe after a certain price, we all we know what it's like shopping for a movie. Once it hits a certain price, we're like, oh, I gotta grab it. Fresh to the shelf, I don't know if I'd spend the money for it, but after a little bit of time, let the price come down, maybe like, I don't know, $5 from wherever it initially was. Yeah, no, I'd definitely spend some decent money on that. It was a fun movie. Ghost in the Shell, gave it a 7 out of 10. That holds. I enjoyed it. The controversy, whether you were one side or another, or even gave a damn, really, I don't know. The movie was fine. It was what it was. I think we got the best thing we could have expected for that movie. Then I saw Smurfs. Gave it a 6.5. I talked about target audience and knowing your demographic in that, and that still holds. 6.5, perfect rating for that one. It's a kids movie. Watch it with your kids. It's the Smurfs. You know what you're getting into. Moving on. Then I saw Going in Style. That was the Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine bank robbery movie. Fun. I think I said in the review, it's the kind of movie that you sit and watch when it's on like TNT or TBS or one of those TV channels. That's where you watch it. I saw it when I was still working at the movie theater, so I managed to get it for free. That made it worth it. Perfectly enjoyable film, but you gotta know when and where to watch it. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I gave that one a 10 out of 10. I think I gave that a 10 out of 10 partially because I was starting to waver my 10 out of 10 on Beauty and the Beast, and I didn't want Beauty and the Beast to be the only one in the running with a 10 out of 10. Guardians of the Galaxy was not a 10 out of 10. It was a great film. It was fun. It was funny. There was a lot that you can take out of it in depth for learning about family dynamics and relationships, friendship and love, and there was depth to it. There was serious depth to it, and I think I'll link in the description below. Lindsay Ellis does like a fantastic in-depth review of the film and Guardians of the Galaxy on the whole, and it was really interesting. Not a 10 out of 10 movie. I dropped that down to maybe an 8.5. Yeah, a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, I strongly suggest you see it. Then I saw Wonder Woman. That one I gave a 9.5, 9.8. Like, again, I was kind of wavering. I didn't quite want to give it a 10 out of 10, but I didn't want to rate it too low. There was a lot of hype around that one, and I think people were buying into the hype. It was a great movie, don't get me wrong. And I still give it a solid 9 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a very well done movie. There's really not a whole lot you can say about it. It's Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman! Moving on. Spider-Man Homecoming. Gave that one a 10 out of 10. It worked as a standalone. It worked as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know what? I will keep that 10 out of 10. I'm maybe more of a 9 out of 10, really. I'm feeling generous, though. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I think we got a copy of it laying around somewhere in this place. Still got to clean up a little bit before I do the next walkthrough video. Finally finish that one up and get that uploaded. But, place is coming along nice, though. You'll see. But no, Spider-Man... 9 out of 10, a reluctant 10 out of 10. It was a lot of fun, though. If you haven't gotten around to seeing it, strongly suggest you do. Then I saw Dark Tower. Gave that one a 7 out of 10, and I hold to that. It was really enjoyable for what it was. There was a lot that I feel like they wanted to do with it, more to do with it, and they just weren't able to for whatever reason, it fell a little flat. So solid 7 out of 10. Then I saw the Netflix Death Note movie. Just going straight down a list I'm reading, and these are all videos that you can see. You can see them in this order pretty much on the YouTube channel. Gave that a 6 out of 10. I might bump that up to a 7. It's a fascinating case study in media transference from one culture to another. The way that they presented it, I think I said it in the original review, it's the best version that we could have hoped for as an Americanizing of this story. The anime will always be better. The manga will always be better. But this is a fun addition into that collection, whatever the proper word is. If nothing else, you can hate watching it just to enjoy the good stuff more later. And I swear, that scream when he first sees Shinigami, that will always make me laugh. Think we can play it? Alright, I never got around to uploading these. I'm just going to count them here instead of trying to do an upload now, especially after so much time. I saw the reboot, the reimagining, whatever, of Stephen King's It. Loved it. Loved it. The movie was everything that I could have hoped for coming from this story. I felt it was a good, faithful interpretation. Obviously, the story can't go all the way like Stephen King does in the book. That'd be we might have to rate that one NC-17 if we tried that. But what I found the most interesting was that the trailers scared me more than the movie itself. I'm not one of those people that's scared of clowns. If you know me or you look through my personal Facebook page, you'll see I've got pictures of myself in a clown mask. I always find the idea of scary clowns to be kind of funny, or at least people's reaction to scary clowns to be kind of funny. Yeah, they're creepy, but it never bothered me to the same degree that other people were scared of it. So I found myself laughing almost hysterically at times during the movie. But I was engrossed. I was fully engrossed. I loved every second of what I was watching. I gave it a solid 9.5 out of 10, and that holds. I loved this movie, and I can't wait for the next part to come out. Then I saw Kingsman. I was a big fan of the first Kingsman movie. I thought Samuel L. Jackson, while the choice to give his character the lisp, I don't know anything about the comics, the graphic novels that the story was based on. I never read those, but I found the movie to be highly enjoyable. I loved every second of it. It was a great spy film. It was a good modernizing of James Bond almost. I think that's one of the taglines of the film. It's great. I loved every second of the original, or the first one rather. Samuel L. Jackson, despite that lisp, he was a very fun villain. He was someone that you could almost relate to his thought process on, and the whole, saving the world, from the human virus concept. It was great. It was a great, well done movie. So the sequel, I was trying to figure out where to put my finger on it. The villain wasn't quite as strong to me, but the elements of the story were there. There were lots of parts of it that met it on the right level. Some of them fell short. There were some choices that I really disagreed with because I thought they were very strong from the first movie, and they kind of were weakened by the second movie. So I gave it a 9 out of 10. Maybe I dropped that to an 8.5. But no, 9 really still feels proper. I loved it. I've got a copy of that laying around here somewhere too. So, that tells you something right there. I have to own both copies, both movies. It's great. So, if you hadn't seen Kingsman Golden Circle, I strongly suggest you see it. Now, in between all of those, or at least reaching the end of this year, there were more movies that I had seen at the end of 2017. We went to go see Thor. My opinion of Thor You see, I was always bothered by the idea of Thor as a superhero anyway, even from the very get go, because I'm a big fan of mythology, and when you lower Thor to the superhero status, you're kind of I feel like you're robbing something of the godliness from it. He was a god. He's a god. It's, to bring up a really bad movie. Did you ever see that Jamie Kennedy sequel to The Mask? It's terrible. But there's this great moment with Alan Cummings as Loki where he says, "I'm a god. I can create things out of nothingness." He's playing Loki. It's because he's a god. He's acting like a god. So Thor in the comic book universe always seemed just odd to me. But the movie was fun. I had a lot of fun watching it. Solid 8 out of 10. It was great. Then we saw Justice League. Now, I've got a lot that I could say about this one. I'm going to try and keep it brief. Justice League, I also give an 8 out of 10. I'm a big DC fan. I love the Justice League. The cartoon series was great. I always love those characters. So, I found it very enjoyable. I've got my issues with what they did with The Flash. The Flash was always supposed to be, I realize that there's different interpretations of The Flash, and I haven't watched, the TV series, so I'm not sure if that played anything into this, but more than some cocky boy with powers, they made him the awkward one, and it's just, there's something about this trope that they've created, this character, this awkward pretty boy who doesn't quite get social cues, and I'm just going to use the word, it's like he's got Asperger's or something like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not getting on him if he's an Asperger's person, but it's just this weird character creation that I'm seeing a lot in stories where we're trying to I don't know, they're almost like romanticizing or something. I'm not getting the right words here, but there's something about it, and it doesn't sit well with me. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be Asperger's characters or other intellectual disability or special needs characters. Make them the forefront. I remember I read a great article about how they said Drax was somebody with Asperger's or some kind of autism. And, that was never the intention of the character, but it became like a beacon, like somebody for children to look up to with these issues. And I'm like, that's spectacular, that's great. But it's I don't know, there's just something about it. It's maybe, somebody else can try to find a better way to phrase this than I am. You guys, you understand where I'm trying to come from with this. If you don't, we can talk about it. We can try and talk about it in the comment section below. I still love the movie. It was great. And the Flash character was fun. Wonder Woman was fantastic. Batfleck was, always brought it to the screen. I loved how they brought in Cyborg. It was a good presence to the story. So that was all great. I saw The Disaster Artist. Now, if you're looking up here, try and bring this down without destroying my display up here. I'm a fan of The Room. I love seeing this movie in theaters. I've gotten to meet Tommy Wiseau twice. There's nothing you can say about it. Each experience with Tommy Wiseau is magical. You have to experience seeing The Room and meeting Tommy Wiseau for yourself. Pay attention to your local indie or art house movie theaters. Sometimes they do special screenings at midnight shows, and Tommy tours. So do your research, and you might be lucky enough to go to one of the special shows. I've gotten to do it. I know you can too. The Disaster Artist was phenomenal. There's a reason it won an award. I loved it. It did everything that I could have hoped for from that story, and while it's a little bittersweet to think that now we're going to have this flooding of people going to these room screenings, because there's like a community for it. And now we're going to be flooded by these people that are just kind of being brought in through the disaster. But you got to have your entry point somewhere, right? You got to find, everybody gets brought into things somehow. And I'm glad that this is getting the attention it deserves. Disaster Artist, you know what? Yeah, 10 out of 10. Beautiful. Saw Last Jedi before 2017 closed out. I did not get everyone's hate on that. I really didn't. I had some issues with it, don't get me wrong. It was not a perfect movie. I give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. And the issues that I had with it were ones that I never even heard other people brought up. Now, the movie's been out long enough, I think I can comment on this. Now, I'll talk about the biggest one, or at least for me, was the moment with Leia after the bridge of the ship exploded and she got sucked out into the vacuum, and then she force-powered herself back to the ship in safety. Where the hell did that come from? I know they always talked about the fact that Leia was meant to be this hidden weapon, this like backup option almost. There is another Skywalker. And they always hinted that Leia had like the feelings, she could sense the Force. But I always wanted her to be this and I really, God rest Carrie Fisher, I know that we can't do anything with this anymore. But I always wanted her character to be the one that might show up at the very end. And she didn't have to do force pushing or necessarily wield a lightsaber. She was going to be the one that could have influence on the Force and do the almost like a Jedi mind trick, but to the nth degree. She was just going to be this like Gandhi-esque peaceful presence of the Force. Not this person that was going to wield the power. It was going to be something very subtle. And I was always really into that idea. Nope. Wonder Woman! So, and then all the people that were all about like, it's not the same Luke. Get over it. So, that's my thoughts on Last Jedi. First movie of the year now. I saw Jumanji. I was not sure what to think going into Jumanji. I was pleasantly surprised. I was really worried that they were going to try and overshadow the original film, and they were very respectful with what they did. They acknowledged there was something before it. The way that they changed things around from board game to video game, I actually really liked. To use a Lord of the Rings analogy, the game is sentient. We know that. The game wants to be played. It is calling to you gamers. It wants to be played. It will do what it has to do to be played. And if you guys remember that there used to be a cartoon series for Jumanji, which I loved. It was based off of the original Robin Williams movie, but this new movie incorporated like elements of that by bringing it into the game, and it felt like a great homage to everything that came before it and still made itself something that can stand alone. So, first movie of the year, I'm giving Jumanji a 9 out of 10. There were elements of it that were predictable and fell a little short in my mind, but I laughed a lot more than I expected to. I found myself really engrossed. It was a great film. It was a lot of fun. So, movie-wise, 2017 was a phenomenal year, and it looks like 2018 is only going to get better. There were many highs and lows of 2017, but something that myself and other YouTubers have talked about on social media, if you look at the social media, the various other outlets that we communicate on, we want to make YouTube better for 2018. There's a hashtag, there's this strong movement to be better content creators and to reinforce the community. I kind of made a joke when I saw this movement starting through a channel that I really love, Anime America. I made a joke that's like, you know, they want to start doing like shout outs to other channels. I'm like, hey, Ellie and I were trendsetters. Look at that. So, but it's not trendsetting. That's what the community should be. We should be advocating for each other and building each other up and strengthening between ourselves and out to new content creators and acknowledging who we look up to. And the word community is it's strengthening the community, weeding out the people that don't care about who they're affecting with their content, and bringing attention to the people that are trying their hardest and doing everything they can to bring the best that they can. So we hope that you go back, look at our videos, look at the shoutouts that we've made, support those people. Please help support us. We've still got that contest going for the logo. You can submit to Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, anything that we've got a link to. Submit it. We want to see what you've got. We want to hear from you. Power to the fan base. I cannot emphasize those words enough. I believe in those words, and I believe in YouTube, and I believe in unlockable content and what we're trying to bring. And I know Ellie and I are going to do everything we can to make 2018 the best year for ourselves on YouTube that we can. So, that's all I got. Good night, YouTube. Take care.